Hey guys, what's going on? So, I'm going to do a little quick midweek vid here, and it's not going to be styled in my usual format where I sit down, cook my steak, and teach you what I want to teach you, because this is more so going to be a discussion type series where I'll usually just going to say what I've written down in my notes or what I have on my mind, and then maybe show some gameplay in the background or something. That way I can get the video out sooner and get my message out. So, the idea behind this discussion is going to be revolved around a behavior that I've been noticing become much more prevalent in the online community. And I say more prevalent because this mindset has been there for a while, but I've noticed it become increasingly more common in generations and in more recent times. So, this topic was kind of sparked by a discussion that I saw on Reddit. Although Reddit is, a little bit more cool and calm, there's much more civil discussions on there. But I've seen it online, I've seen it on Facebook, I've seen it on the International Guild Hall, and oh geez, that's where it gets to the worst. But basically, it's the discussion that always escalates from a discussion where should you be playing the meta or should you be playing how you want to be playing? And we're going to be talking about the different ways to look at this. So, first off, for those of you who may not know what meta is, it's a common term usually used in the gaming industry, but it could be a couple of things. It can mean, what's popular right now, what's everybody playing. It's a common term that it was used a lot in MOBAs, or still is used in MOBAs and MMOs, both of which that I played a lot. It can be what's OP right now, what's the meta, what should I be playing if I want to win. But there is, and always has been, some sort of meta in Monster Hunter games. Even though it's not really a competitive game and overall cooperative, there is some kind of meta. So, even though Monster Hunter is an entirely execution-based game, there really isn't a meta of playstyle, but there is, so now there is, because now there's hunting styles. There wasn't a meta before, really, but now I guess there sort of is, but there always has been meta skills. Skills you want to be running if you want the most efficient hunt times, the most efficient TAs if you're doing TAs. You want to be running certain skills. So there always has been some kind of meta. While it may not be entirely for the whole game, there was or is a meta of how you should be playing. Now, this isn't new. I know a lot of the newcomers to Monster Hunter came in with 4 Ultimate, so to compare it to a previous game, the meta, so to speak, in 4 Ultimate for Blade Masters was, your standard Hone Blade template set. Home Blade was what you wanted to be running, and then you centered around that depending on what you were fighting. You would tack on Challenger +2 if you were fighting a monster that got enraged a lot. Well, hell, you put Challenger +2 on anything because it was such a great skill. Did the monster roar a lot? Okay, throw on earplugs. Did the monster cause tremor? Okay, throw on tremor. But you centered it around this skill because you knew that it was going to be giving you the most amount of damage, the most bang for your buck. So, and now that I'm saying this, you guys might be thinking like, oh, yeah, alright, I remember seeing this a lot when I was running, endgame content. So, this has always been around. I can't speak for gunning because I've never used a ranged weapon in my life. So, this is something that is not entirely new. Now, I could be wrong, but I don't remember the community being so enforcing of the meta for newcomers in 4 Ultimate. Given 4 Ultimate did have G rank, so you could have a lot more skills by the end of the game. There were different ways to play and still be effective. But I've noticed in Generations that everyone is just trying to force the meta down everybody's throat. If somebody asks a question online, it's just like, oh, why don't you have crit boost on that set? Or if somebody posts a picture of their set and they're like, hey, what do you think of my aerial switch hack set? And then people will be like, aerial? You should be using guild or striker with crit boost. Like, there isn't only one way to play, guys. Like, I know this might sound a little weird coming from me because I speedrun, but even though I speedrun, I know that that's not the only way to play. Like, I'm sure when they make the game, they're not only thinking about, you having the monster fucking headlocked and then killed in 4 minutes. it's not the only way to play. Like people like me and other speedrunners, yeah, we speedrun, and during the speedruns or during these TAs, we're trying to be the most efficient and quick. That's why we're using these sets. Now, I know what you might be thinking, like, alright, well, when I hunt online, I also want the hunt to be fast. Yeah, for sure. You can definitely use, the standard crit boost set, the different. Again, I'm speaking exclusively Blade Master because that's all I play. But you can be running the meta sets online, but don't witch hunt somebody because they're not using the set that puts out the most damage. Like, do you really need to penalize someone because they're not using the optimal DPS set if you're just gonna go hunt I don't know, a Hyper Najarala? Well, actually, that guy's kind of fucking annoying, but if you're just hunting and you're just chilling, and somebody comes in and they got like an aerial blunt set, don't kick them because it's not the standard meta set. I mean, given there is there's a couple of strong sets in this game, it's not the only way to play. And given we are more limited because we can only go up to high rank, there's not many skills we can tack on, but just be a little lenient with everyone. The only time this really starts to become a problem is when being informative and giving advice turns into lecturing and pestering and just straight up insulting. I've seen it happen, not so much on Reddit, but I've seen it happen in the International Guild Hall. Like someone posts their set, like someone posts a set and they're asking, "What do you think about my aerial set?" And then the first comment is like, "Hey man, it's good, but if you just get the Silverlos crit set, it'll be even better." Like, did he ask for that? No, he's asking about advice for his aerial set. If he was asking about, hey, what can I get for like the most DPS if I'm going to be hitting weak spots? Okay, you give him the crit boost set. But he's asking about the set that he wanted to use, and I've seen people just like completely slap people down because they're like, "Huh, you use blunt weapons? Bludgeoner's fucking obsolete, man. It's all about the Hellblade weapons." Like, okay, and while this may be true and the Hellblade weapons are just extremely efficient, like, do you think someone who's just playing the game online for fun really cares about the fucking like 1.2% extra damage that you'd get with the white modifier on this weapon or that weapon? No, like hell, I speedrun and I don't even give a shit about that sometimes. I'm just trying to play the damn game. So, what we can try to do is just maybe not insult certain people if they're using a set or if they're not using a certain set, because at the end of the day the monster's still gonna die. So just try to, if you are going to give someone advice, try and keep in mind what did they ask to begin with. Okay, and then is your answer going to be relevant, And be mindful of what they're asking. Now, if someone is asking, saying they're trying to speedrun, okay, you can lead them in the right direction, But, there's no reason to be hurtful and insulting to people who aren't using a certain set. There isn't only one way to play about Monster Hunter, and that's something that I really love about this game. Like, when I'm not speedrunning a monster, I like to throw on other sets, try out different weapons. Right now I'm experimenting a lot, using weapons I kind of suck at and I'm trying to get better. You can do your own thing in this game, and that's one thing that I've always loved about Monster Hunter. And even though there is always a kind of like overshadowing meta in the background, it isn't the only way to play. So again, guys, that's all I wanted to talk about today. Yes, there is a meta, it is there, but it isn't the only way to play if it's not what you're like seeking to do. And if it is, well then you know what sets to use, because you can just look up what speedrunners are using and so on. But if you're not looking to speedrun and if you're just looking to have fun, do your own thing, man. There's multiple ways to play this game. Like, even I know that. And I never like try and pester people because of what they're using. And I urge the community to do the same, because I really do love this community. And honestly, aside from loving this game, I do like how inviting and informative the community can be when they're being civil, you know what I'm saying? So, just try to be friendly if you're being informative. And then if you're also seeking advice, don't be defensive, listen to what somebody might be telling you, because if you are trying to speedrun and what you're using isn't efficient, then somebody may be giving you the right advice, you know what I'm saying? So that's all, guys. Just be nice to each other. Don't try and fight and argue. It's really not worth it because at the end of the day, it's all about the hunt, baby. You know what I'm saying? So, all right, guys. I just wanted to do that little quick discussion video, or not so quick discussion video. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.